I'm 70. 5 things I did to stop wasting my evenings after work. At 70, I've come to appreciate that time is the most precious resource we have. After retiring from my primary career, I decided to take on some light work to keep my mind sharp and stay active. But something wasn't sitting right with me. I'd finish work for the day, and the evenings would slip through my fingers. I'd tell myself I deserved a little rest, which I did. But that rest often turned into hours of watching TV, mindlessly scrolling on my tablet, or just sitting in silence. Eventually, I realized that I wasn't really living in those hours, so I made changes, 5 of them to be exact, that helped me reclaim my evenings, and with them, a sense of purpose and fulfillment. If you're in your golden years like me, I hope these ideas inspire you to use your evenings for what truly matters to you. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. 1. Reframe your mindset. It's never too late to do it tired. As I've grown older, I've learned that life doesn't pause to wait for the perfect moment, the perfect mood, or even the perfect energy level. For years, I believed that in order to take action, I needed to feel ready, rested, and motivated. But as the days turned into months and the months into years, I began to realize how much time I'd allowed to slip away waiting for that elusive sense of readiness. At 70, I've come to understand that if I want to make the most of the precious time I have left, I need to let go of the belief that action depends on feeling prepared. One of the most powerful lessons I've learned is this: tiredness doesn't mean I can't take action. It simply means I'll do it tired. It's a shift in mindset that has profoundly changed how I approach my evenings and my life. There's a temptation, especially as we age, to tell ourselves we've earned the right to rest, and we absolutely have. But there's a difference between rest that rejuvenates and rest that becomes an excuse to disengage. I realized I was often choosing the latter, letting fatigue become a reason to put off meaningful activities. And the more I allowed that pattern to take hold, the more it became my default. The breakthrough came when I started reflecting on my past. I thought about all the times I'd done things tired, working late nights to support my family, staying up with a sick child, or pushing through long days to help a friend. Those moments, though exhausting, were often the most rewarding. They were evidence that I could act even when I didn't feel like it, and that the satisfaction of accomplishing something meaningful far outweighed the temporary discomfort of fatigue. I began applying this principle to my evenings. Instead of sitting down after work and telling myself I'd tackle a task or hobby later, I'd say, "I'm tired, but I'll do it anyway." Some nights it was as simple as writing in my journal or organizing old photographs. Other nights, I'd spend 20 minutes working on a new skill or calling a friend I hadn't spoken to in years. These weren't monumental efforts, but they were deliberate acts of engagement that made my evenings feel purposeful. What I discovered is that action often creates its own energy. The act of doing, even when I didn't feel like it, brought a sense of accomplishment that lifted my spirits and gave me a second wind. Each time I chose to take action despite my tiredness, I was building a new kind of confidence. It was a quiet assurance that I was still capable of living fully, even when the day's demands had left me weary. This mindset shift wasn't just about productivity. It was about reclaiming a sense of agency over my time. It reminded me that I'm still in control of how I spend my life, even in my later years. Tiredness, I've realized, is simply a state of being, not a barrier. By acknowledging it without letting it dictate my choices, I've opened the door to a more fulfilling and intentional way of living. There's a profound freedom in letting go of the need to feel ready before taking action. It's a reminder that life is happening now, in this moment, and that each small act, no matter how tired we feel, contributes to the tapestry of a well-lived life. At 70, I know there will always be days when fatigue sets in. But instead of waiting for the perfect moment, I choose to act, to create, and to live in the moment I'm given. And that choice I found makes all the difference. 2. Declutter your evenings with simple routines. As I reflect on the rhythm of my days, I've come to understand that clutter isn't just something that lives in our physical spaces, it lives in our time as well. For much of my life, my evenings were a tangle of small, nagging tasks that seemed to pile up endlessly: the bills to pay, emails to respond to, the laundry waiting to be folded. It all seemed to demand my attention the moment I thought I could finally relax. And yet, despite spending countless hours juggling these tasks, I never felt like I was making meaningful progress. My evenings felt fragmented and my time felt stolen. The turning point came when I realized that my evenings didn't have to be this way. I could declutter them, not by ignoring the responsibilities that needed my attention, but by, organizing them more thoughtfully. It began with a single powerful question: what if I could free my evenings from the weight of the day to day? The answer wasn't to do more, but to do smarter. The first step was identifying the repetitive tasks that were draining my evenings. These were the life admin tasks: paying bills, scheduling appointments, planning meals, and handling household chores. While each task seemed small on its own, together they consumed a significant portion of my time and energy. So, I decided to consolidate them into one dedicated block of time. Sunday afternoons became my reset time. For an hour or two, I tackled all the little tasks that would otherwise spill into my week. By the time Monday rolled around, my mind felt clearer and my evenings were noticeably lighter. Meal planning was one of the most transformative changes I made. Instead of cooking from scratch every night, I began prepping meals on Sundays. It was a simple adjustment: chopping vegetables, portioning ingredients, and preparing a few ready to eat options. But it saved me hours during the week. On busy evenings, I no longer had to choose between cooking and doing something I loved. Dinner was already handled, and I had time to read, call a friend, or take a walk instead. Another change was learning to embrace the idea of good enough. For much of my life, I'd been a perfectionist, believing that every task had to be done just so. But at 70, I've realized that life isn't about perfecting the little things, it's about finding joy in the big ones. That meant letting go of the need to fold every towel perfectly or respond to every email immediately. By setting realistic standards for myself, I freed up not just time, but also mental energy. Decluttering my evenings also meant decluttering my mindset. I began to see my time as a precious resource, one that deserved to be spent with intention. Instead of letting my evenings be dictated by what felt urgent, I started asking myself, what feels important? The answer wasn't always dramatic. Sometimes it was as simple as sitting quietly with a cup of tea, watching the sunset, or spending time with my grandchildren. But by prioritizing what mattered most, I found that my evenings felt fuller, even if I was doing less. The beauty of these small changes is that they've given me back a sense of control over my time. I no longer feel like my evenings are slipping away into the chaos of unfinished tasks. Instead, they've become a space of calm, a time for reflection, connection, and creativity. And the most surprising part: by organizing my responsibilities more efficiently, I've discovered that I actually have more time for the things that bring me joy. At this stage of life, I've learned that simplicity is a gift. Decluttering my evenings wasn't about eliminating responsibilities, but about creating room for what truly matters. By organizing my time with care and intention, I've reclaimed my evenings as a space for living, not just existing. And that, I've found, is the heart of a life well lived. 3. Avoid the couch trap. For years, the couch was my evening sanctuary, a soft, inviting space that seemed to beckon me at the end of a long day. It whispered promises of rest and relaxation, a chance to unwind and recover. I'd tell myself, I'll just sit for a moment, but that moment would stretch into hours. The television would flicker in the background, often showing programs I wasn't even paying attention to, while I scrolled through my phone or simply let the time drift by. I thought I was resting, but what I was really doing was wasting my evenings, letting them vanish into the ether without purpose or meaning. The couch wasn't the problem. It was my relationship with it. I had let it become the default, the destination that required no thought or effort. And as comforting as it was in the moment, it left me feeling empty afterward, as if the day had ended without any sense of fulfillment. I realized that the couch had become a trap, not because it offered comfort, but because it kept me from living fully. The question wasn't whether I deserved to rest. Of course I did. The question was whether I wanted to spend the last hours of my day passively or purposefully. The first step to breaking free from the couch trap was recognizing its pull and making a conscious decision to change my evening routine. I began with a simple strategy. Instead of going straight to the couch when I came home, I would redirect myself to another activity. Sometimes it was a small task, like watering my plants or tidying the kitchen. Other times, it was something more deliberate, like setting out my materials for a craft project or writing a note to a friend. The key was to create a sense of momentum, just enough to keep me from sinking into the couch without a plan. I also discovered the power of changing my environment. Instead of watching TV in the living room, I'd choose a different space for evening activities. If I wanted to read, I'd settle into a chair by the window with a good book and a warm cup of tea. If I wanted to work on a puzzle or write in my journal, I'd sit at the dining table. These small shifts in location helped me break the association between the couch and my default evening routine. They gave me the freedom to approach my evenings with intention rather than letting them be dictated by habit. Planning ahead became another vital tool. Before the day ended, I'd think about one thing I wanted to do that evening. Something small but meaningful. It could be as simple as calling a friend, practicing a hobby, or taking a short walk after dinner. Knowing I had a plan helped me resist the pull of the couch because I had something to look forward to, something that felt purposeful. What surprised me most was how quickly these changes began to transform my evenings. By choosing to engage in even the smallest of activities, I found myself feeling more energized and fulfilled. The hours that once disappeared into mindless distraction were now filled with moments of joy and connection. And on the nights when I did choose to relax on the couch, it felt intentional, a reward rather than a default. The couch trap isn't about avoiding rest, it's about reclaiming your evenings as a time to live intentionally. Whether it's engaging in a hobby, spending time with loved ones, or simply sitting quietly with your thoughts, the goal is to make those hours matter. At 70, I've learned that every evening is an opportunity, not just to rest, but to reflect, to create, and to savor the life I've worked so hard to build. By stepping away from the couch's pull and stepping into the possibilities of the evening, I've found a deeper sense of purpose and fulfillment in the time I have left. 4. Embrace the quiet of morning hours. As the years pass, I've grown to treasure the early morning hours more than ever before. There's something almost sacred about the quiet stillness that blankets the world at dawn. The air feels fresher, the light softer, and time itself seems to slow down. It's a space where the noise of life hasn't yet intruded, and I've found that these moments are some of the most valuable in my day. For much of my life, I saw mornings as something to rush through. When I was working full-time, mornings were a flurry of activity, getting ready, eating breakfast, and heading out the door. Even after stepping into a lighter schedule in retirement, I still carried the habit of reserving my energy for later in the day. I thought evenings were my time to unwind and be productive. But what I didn't realize was that my evenings were already compromised. By the time the sun set, I was often too tired to focus, too distracted to engage fully, and too tempted to let the hours drift by without meaning. Then, one day, almost by accident, I discovered the power of the morning. I had woken up unusually early and found myself sitting by the window with a cup of tea, watching the world awaken. The calm I felt in that moment stayed with me throughout the day. Inspired by this, I decided to try using my mornings more intentionally. Instead of saving my energy for the evening, I began to devote those early hours to the things that mattered most. The shift was subtle at first, but quickly transformative. I started waking up 30 minutes earlier than usual, not to tackle chores or obligations, but to nurture myself. I'd sit quietly and journal, letting my thoughts spill out onto the page. On other mornings, I'd read a book I'd been meaning to finish or practice a hobby like watercolor painting. Sometimes I'd simply meditate, focusing on my breath and the peace around me. What struck me was how much I could accomplish in those uninterrupted moments. Without the distractions of phone calls, emails, or daily responsibilities, my mind felt sharper and more focused. Even just 20 or 30 minutes in the morning seemed to stretch further than hours spent trying to be productive in the evening. I began to realize that not all hours are created equal. Morning hours, when the mind is fresh and the world is quiet, are far more valuable than those at the end of the day when energy is low and distractions abound. This newfound routine had an unexpected ripple effect on my evenings. By completing something meaningful, in the morning, I felt less pressure to do it all after work or throughout the day. My evenings became a time to relax and enjoy without guilt, knowing I'd already made progress on what truly mattered. Embracing morning hours also deepened my connection with myself. There's a sense of clarity that comes in the early hours, a chance to reflect on life without the noise of the outside world. I found myself feeling more grateful, more grounded, and more intentional about how I spent my time overall. If there's one thing I've learned from this, it's that mornings are a gift, a chance to start the day with purpose and presence. It's easy to think that evenings are the best time for personal growth or meaningful activities, but the truth is, our energy isn't infinite. By using the quiet power of the morning, I've reclaimed my evenings as a time for rest, connection, and peace, and I've created a balance that feels right for this stage of life. No matter where you are in your journey, it's never too late to embrace the morning. You don't need hours of time or a long to-do list. Even a few moments of quiet intention can change the rhythm of your day and, in turn, your life. 5. Prioritize your health and well-being. As I've grown older, I've come to understand that the foundation for a meaningful and fulfilling life is good health. It may sound simple, even obvious, but in practice, it's easy to let health take a backseat to other priorities. For much of my life, I did just that, pushing through exhaustion, skipping meals, and sacrificing sleep to meet obligations. But over time, I began to see the toll it took, not just on my body, but on my spirit. And now, at 70, I've realized that without health, both physical and mental, our capacity to truly live diminishes. This realization hit me one evening after a particularly long day. I was drained, yet restless, unable to focus on anything that would bring me joy. My energy was gone, my patience was thin, and even the simplest tasks felt overwhelming. That night, I lay awake wondering why I couldn't seem to reclaim my evenings. The answer was clear. I wasn't taking care of myself. How could I expect to feel motivated or engaged when I wasn't giving my body and mind what they needed to thrive? The first thing I did was address my sleep. For years, I had survived on 6 hours a night, sometimes less, thinking I could power through with coffee and willpower. But sleep isn't just a luxury, it's essential. I began prioritizing 7-9 hours of rest each night, setting a consistent bedtime, and creating a calming evening routine. I stopped looking at screens an hour before bed and replaced them with a good book or soft music. The difference was profound. With better sleep, I woke up feeling more refreshed and capable, ready to face the day and savor my evenings. Next, I turned my attention to exercise. Staying active doesn't have to mean intense workouts or hours at the gym. For me, it's as simple as taking a 20-minute walk after dinner, stretching in the morning, or dancing to my favorite music in the living room. Movement has become my way of honoring what my body can still do rather than focusing on its limitations. It clears my mind, lifts my mood, and gives me the energy to engage with life more fully. Nutrition was another area I began to rethink. I used to reach for convenience, processed snacks, sugary treats, quick fixes that filled me up but left me feeling sluggish. Now I make an effort to nourish myself with wholesome foods, fresh vegetables, fruits, lean proteins, and whole grains. It's not about perfection, it's about balance. And I've discovered that when I eat well, my energy is steadier, my mind sharper, and my evenings more enjoyable. Beyond the physical, I also learned to nurture my mental health. Life at 70 comes with its share of joys and challenges, grandchildren, friendships, memories of loved ones lost, and the inevitable changes that come with age. Taking time for mindfulness and gratitude has been transformative, whether it's a few minutes of meditation, journaling my thoughts, or simply sitting quietly and appreciating the present moment. These practices ground me. They remind me that every day is a gift and every evening is an opportunity to create meaning. Caring for my health has become more than just a way to feel better. It's a way to live better. When I prioritize my well being, I'm able to show up for the people and activities I love with more energy and enthusiasm. My evenings, once a time of exhaustion and disconnection, are now moments of joy, creativity, and connection. The truth is, investing in your health is the most compassionate thing you can do for yourself. It's not about perfection or strict rules. It's about listening to your body and giving it what it needs to support the life you want to live. At 70, I've learned that a healthy foundation isn't just the key to reclaiming your evenings, it's the key to reclaiming your life. 6. Cultivate connection. Make time for people who matter. As the years pass, I've realized that one of life's greatest joys, perhaps its most profound, is the connection we share with others. Yet, in the rush of daily life, it's so easy to let those connections fade into the background. Our evenings, often framed as downtime, can quickly turn into time spent alone, scrolling through screens or getting lost in solitary distractions. But I've learned that these hours offer a precious opportunity, chance to deepen our relationships, foster new ones, and cherish the bonds that it starts with a simple but transformative question. Who in my life would I love to hear from or spend time with right now? For me, the answer was often family and friends I hadn't spoken to in weeks, sometimes months. I began using my evenings to reconnect, reaching out with a phone call or even an old-fashioned letter. A short conversation with a loved one, whether reminiscing about shared memories or simply catching up, reminded me of how much warmth and vitality these moments of connection bring. But cultivating connection isn't limited to reaching out to others. It's also about being fully present when we're with the people who matter most. I started turning off distractions during family dinners, putting my phone away when talking with my grandchildren, and making a conscious effort to truly listen. These small acts of presence turned ordinary interactions into treasured moments, enriching my evenings and my relationships alike. One of the most meaningful practices I've adopted is hosting small, simple gatherings. Whether it's inviting a neighbor over for tea, sharing a meal with a close friend, or having my grandchildren visit to bake cookies, these shared experiences create memories that linger long after the evening ends. I've found that it doesn't need to be elaborate. What matters is the time and care we give to one another. I've also embraced the importance of community. In my later years, I've joined groups that bring people together, whether it's a local book club, a gardening group, or a church community. These connections have not only enriched my evenings, but also reminded me that we're never too old to make new friends and build meaningful relationships. What I've discovered is this: connection isn't just about filling time, it's about filling the heart. When I invest my evenings in the people I care about, I find a deep sense of purpose and belonging that no solitary activity can replace. It's a reminder that the relationships we nurture are among life's most precious treasures. and the time we spend with others is never wasted. At 70, I've learned that cultivating connection isn't just a way to reclaim your evenings. It's a way to reclaim your life. These moments of love, laughter, and shared understanding remind us of what truly matters. Not the hours we count, but the moments we share. Whether it's a phone call, a visit, or simply sitting beside someone in quiet companionship, each act of connection is a gift to ourselves and to those we hold dear. Embracing the gift of evenings. At 70, I've come to understand that our evenings hold a quiet, unassuming power. They're the bookends of our days, the moments where we can choose to reflect, connect, and grow, or let time slip through our fingers. The years have taught me that life doesn't offer endless opportunities, and every choice we make carries weight. Each evening is a reminder that while the past may be behind us and the future uncertain, the present is still ours to shape. Reclaiming my evenings wasn't about squeezing productivity out of every hour or filling my time with tasks for the sake of being busy. It was about living with intention, honoring the gift of time, and recognizing that even the smallest acts, reading a book, writing a letter, or simply sitting in quiet gratitude, can create meaning. These moments, though small, are what add richness to our lives. What I've discovered is that purpose doesn't diminish with age, it evolves. It's no longer about building or achieving, but about savoring and sharing. It's about recognizing that the way we spend our evenings, no matter how simple, reflects the way we choose to live. When I stopped letting my evenings pass me by, I found a renewed sense of fulfillment and a reminder that life's beauty lies in its quiet, ordinary moments. So, to anyone reading this, especially those in your golden years, I offer this reminder: your time is still your own. Evenings are not just the end of the day. They are a chance to create, to connect, to dream, and to celebrate the life you've built. Whether it's through small routines, meaningful conversations, or simply taking a moment to be present, you can reclaim these hours and fill them with the things that matter most to you. At this stage of life, it's easy to feel as though the best years are behind us. But I've found that the opposite is true. The years ahead hold the potential for the deepest, most meaningful experiences, if only we choose to embrace them. The sun may set each evening, but with it comes the promise of a new day, a new moment, and a new opportunity to live with intention. Make your evenings count, not because time is fleeting, but because every moment we're given is a chance to live fully and meaningfully. This, I believe, is the true gift of aging, the wisdom to see the value in each moment and the courage to make it our own. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching. And here's to living life on your own terms.